All right, welcome to this podcast today. I'm going to be one of your hosts, whatever you want to call it. Today's this topic will be about Jerry, Chief Marshal of Chimeras. I almost said Chimeras. Uh, Jerry's gonna talk about his story from Red Cell Corporal to Chief Marshal of Chimeras, and
You're really gonna
also,
start out on the biography, huh?
hmm why not start?
Noted,
Why
yeah.
not we start from when you started from RC?
Well, to be fair, when I first started out in Red Cell, I was kind of a bit of a shy person. I never really considered about having to join big groups such as the Officer Corps or Red Cell Special Forces. I was mostly the type of person like, hey, why don't I just be just your everyday average soldier in particular when I was a so I was I just climbed the ranks and I just hit corporal because at the time this was like back in 3.0 where when you were in red cell you only had barely any gear to get. So back then the system goes as it where when you're a follower to specialist you only had a X9 pistol. When you hit corporal plus you got an MP7 and later on you got an M16 on an officer rank. And so it kind of came to a point where I was like, I just let me just climb the ranks and get some good stuff. Later on, there was a particular update where Red Cell Special Forces got some dual max from a particular rogue developer, but that later on got approved. That did catch my interest, and so I started doing a bit of clan practicing and trying to hone that skill up. The thing is that when I tried to join Red Cell Special Forces, I screwed up about like 5 tryouts. It took me like more than 5 plus tryouts to even get into the division.
How long did it take you to
On
pass your trial phase?
the tryout back then, the thing is that you had to be everyone had to decide whether if you're like a good player or not. If you're not a good player, they'll just kick you from the tryout, literally. It was much of a simpler case way back since there was a lack of a lot of formations and structuring at the time for the division. And so when I joined it, you were automatically given the max and everything. There was no morph at the time either, since the only thing that you could buy were like uniforms, and that's about it. Much
No
later down
morphs.
the line, we'll see like all sorts of red cell morphs beginning to pop up at the border when it gets updated. And so from there, that's when the first director at the time kind of went out with a bang and kicked everybody out because it turns out he got banned for all sorts of questionable factors that the administration didn't like. And so when the next few directors came around, I was a high colonel that got promoted, and so I did a bit of stuff in there. And then later on, I was given a chance to do all. Well, I mean, I was just an officer at that time. It was around I think 2019 or 2020 was when I decided to retire from Red Cell Special Forces. Cause but back at the time there was no such thing as a champion retiree rank. And so when you were retired, you'll just get kicked out. There was no retirement benefits at the time. And around that time as well, when I used to be a high colonel, there used to be a red cell subdivision. It wasn't phantoms, actually. It was called headhunters. In a nutshell, headhunters was basically an elite type of subdivision that does better clanning skills compared to the normal red cell special forces when it used
Basically,
to be.
phantoms.
Kinda,
What
but
was different
it's a
about
bit of
it?
a different case. Well, Headhunters was primarily focused on clanning,
Oh,
not
more raids
border
than
stuff.
TGC.
Yeah,
Did
and
it
they
have more
didn't
morph than
actually have
TGC?
any grand crossing benefits.
Oh, it didn't. Alright.
But I know for a fact that when I retired in back around 2021, you may have noticed about the Phantom Division that Santok announced and teased as well.
Yeah.
The thing about the Phantom Division at the time during 3.0 was that they didn't get anything at the time. It was just a morph in itself. That was about it.
Oh, they didn't get the Starling P in 3.0.
They didn't get anything. It was just a morph
Oh.
at the time. Headhunters were basically like snow mercenaries, something like that, but it's kind of like a filtration of a better. But I think it's a pretty obvious why it got decommissioned in the first place.
Yeah.
Well, the thing is that I know for a fact that there was actually a plan on having like 2 Red Cell Special Forces subdivisions. Like one was called Red Berets and one's called Headhunters at the time. And so I think that kind of got swapped around because I know there was Red Berets and then there was Phantoms. Those names did get switched around from what I remembered.
I thought 2 subdivisions would be cool. Red Berets sound cool, to be honest, in my opinion.
Yeah, it does sound cool and all, but I can't say it would be good.
Yeah, the
I know that later on, around the time when Winter came back from after retiring and then coming back to Red Cell, there was a time when he actually had to deal with any where he's trying to reform everything with Santok and that jazz. I do know for a fact that around that time I was invited into Phantoms because since there was actually a whole new reformation in the Phantom subdivision, none of you. I mean, if you knew about it, you would know about the Phantom Emergence document that was pushed out at that time.
I took a read of that not too long ago.
Well, that document was actually was supposed to explain what Phantoms were doing, but I will tell you for a fact, Phantoms actually had a way different objective than what you saw in that document in particular. So later on, it came later on where it was necessary, since I think it was around 2020 when the High Command or something, I don't know if it's true or not, but I know for a fact that they did had a plan on having a Red Cell 3rd Division in mind. It wasn't Chimeras in particular, but I know for a fact as well.
I heard about it. When was this again? It wasn't too long ago, was it?
Yeah, it wasn't too long ago. And then later on a particular Red Cell ceremony, it was decided that the Phantom Division would be decommissioned as well. And so if you were a Phantom, you basically all of us had received a particular message on the communications line about our time of having to complete the true objective of Phantoms, since it's just it's a whole war thing that was going on as well in the division as well.
I do have one question. Do you
Yeah,
know with Phantoms as it got decommissioned, did they get any benefits from it being shut down, like in Chimeras or anything?
Oh yeah, they did. So if you were a former Phantom operative at the time, whether if you were a fallen or you were part of it at the very least, you did have a retirement benefit of having to be able to be a member of the Viper Squadron that I have in mind. Currently, the morph is already in the border. It's just that it's a metal morph at the moment. Or you could be a Chimera officer.
I'd have picked the Viper Squadron if I was in Phantoms, to be honest.
A lot of people tend to.
Is there a member cap with it?
Yes, there is a member cap on Viper Squadron. I'm not going to say what the limit is, but I'll tell you for a fact that it's very, very small. Smaller than Phantoms, actually.
Is it around like a 7 squad? Oh, you don't really want to talk about it, do you?
Well, I'd rather not talk about it, but worth the curiosity.
What about the entrance program, or is that classified as well?
The entrance program for Chimeras?
No, I mean Viper Squadron.
Well, for Viper Squadron, I'll just tell you for a fact that you're gonna have to show some quite an impressive performance in the Grand Crossing.
We have to
Clan wise, I don't care less about it.
we have to show loyalty as well, like being there for a certain amount of time.
Oh yeah, for sure. But do note that this can be subject to change because I do have a particular group of people that I often will consult with before I make the decision about inviting them to the squadron.
Mm. Well, um, uh, so is there any news on Chimeras? Like anything you can leak at the moment? Not say
Uh,
leak or just talk about.
in terms of a leak, I could probably give you guys something. Let me see what I can
And
throw out into
as a
general
release
chat.
date yet?
Well, I can tell you for a fact that if you look in general, Viper Squadron's Morph is already in the development build at the moment. So once on, they'll bear note that the image I've thrown into the chat, this is not the final Morph that you'll be seeing on the Grand Crossing. Yes, they will have a cloak, but I cannot say the gun will be the same, nor can I say the uniform or the helmet that you see in that image will be the same.
Is it going to be a buffed Sterling P?
Well, I don't know. It depends on what the administration agrees on. There's already a whole sort of ordeal that we've been dealing with over there as well. I'd rather not discuss about it.
Yeah, that's all fine. Is there news on a release date or when around it would be released?
The release date. Yes, I've heard a lot of people continuing to ask me about this for the past God knows how many. But I can tell you for a fact that from what I could tell, Red Cell Chimera's facilities are ready at the moment.
Yeah, we just
I,
finished one.
it's just the fact that it needs a couple of polishments and it needs something to be finished since I'm waiting on that. And there's also the fact that we're waiting on the officer and the high command uniform to be wrapped up.
I've seen that. Is they're using the normal Chimera uniform. Chimera. I forgot what rank it's called.
Yeah, I could tell you that for sure. You also the loadouts I could tell you are ready as well since a developer has managed to arrange the the whole thing to be ready at the moment.
Yeah, I've tested out. Not tested out in combat, but used some of the shields, and they are pretty good. And the Sterling P is nice fire rate and stuff. It's like the MK17 is it called, or 16?
MK14.
MK4. I keep forgetting the gun. I haven't played TGC in ages. MK14.
It does about like 15 damage, 34 rounds. You can roll with it every
Yeah.
30 seconds. It's not bad of a weapon, I'll tell you that.
It's a pretty good weapon, and how it looks with the black and white looks really nice. The whole
For
morph in
sure.
itself looked really nice as well. The uniform looks really nice.
I had to talk to them specifically to make sure that the weapons are going to be black and white in a black base and a white neon for
Yeah.
all of our guns. I even managed to get the secondary sidearm and the mediguns to be colored that way.
I do have a question. Are we going to have aim like mediguns? I'm pretty sure officers will, but will the main ones have it?
Auto locking mediguns and mediguns. Well, the mediguns we have right now, I can tell you for a fact that they're auto locking. I could confirm that. As for the reason why it's an auto locking minigun, well, how should I say this? Probably not, but I'll just tell you for a fact that there's a good reason why they've decided to make it a medigun that's auto locking. But from when I've tested it so far, I think it's pretty effective, similar to like Combat Engineer's auto locking medigun.
Will it be buffed because of it being aim lock? Will it do less heals?
I think the cooldown is going to be same like Combat Engineers in particular, but the healing should be on par with Combat Engineers. It's not going to be something that's going to be like Red Cell Special Forces version.
And another one, I've had loads of people asking me saying, Oh, Chimera going to be the Red Cell combat engineers? Could you answer this for us? Because everyone just is asking.
I mean, I'm not gonna. I get why some of you are gonna be thinking, why the frick is this? It's just we're just gonna have building tools, right? I mean, you're not wrong. We have the building tools necessary on the field when you are going to be running around on the Grand Crossing. But to those who have access to those fortifications, you'll have to climb up the ranks in order to grab those fortification tools.
Isn't it
I
at
mean,
the rank? Oh, can't remember the rank Karen talking.
well, I think you can find out sooner or later. I'm not gonna well, actually,
I
probably
know what
not.
Morph has it. That's all.
Yeah, I could tell you that. I mean, there's already a leak on somebody had decided to whistleblow the entire loadouts for Chimera, so it's not much of a big deal at this point.
Was it a
But
dev? Oh, I can't remember.
I have no idea. But some are speculating that it could be one of my officers. But I've talked with with my superiors about it. It's not much of a big deal, in my opinion.
At the end of the day, it's just a few loadouts.
Yeah, for sure. I will tell you this though: when you're a lower rank in Chimeras, it's not going to be the best when you're going to be using it. You're still going to die quite easily.
Yeah.
Maybe dang one. How many sub officer ranks are there? Well, technically there's about three. So the first one is a NCO rank called Lancer, and then you got a officer rank called Quartermaster, and then there's a senior officer rank called Commandant.
Oh, I do have one.
Called what?
Wait, what was that rank name? Sorry, I didn't get that.
We have Lancer, Quartermaster, and Commandant.
Is the commandant equivalent to the captain rank?
I would say the major rank.
Oh, is it going to be an assistant general position then?
Well, it could depend. The way we've arranged it, it's going to be something that the marshals actually specifically are deciding on.
Oh, is the marshals sort of equivalent to like the generals here?
Yes, generals are basically the high command in the Chimera division. I'll tell you that.
Um, is what? How do you get the generals? Is it going to be the same as here, like your general of like the a committee?
Marshal for the marshals, usually that's a rank I specifically will be selecting because I usually handpick my marshals to work with me because there's a lot of things that need consideration on.
Yeah. And another thing is, well, what is the entrance system going to be like? Is it going to be like a application or a how many kills you need to get on the TGC?
For the entrance program that we have in mind, I will tell you for a fact that it's been designed in a way that you don't need to wait on like a quartermaster or an officer to be like, okay, guys, come to this event and you'll get it. No, I don't like that. And neither do I want to deal with the fact that you have to go fill out a Google application, wait an entire week to get a reply, and you have no idea whether you screwed up or not. That takes forever for all of you, and I think I could tell that there's plenty of you out there who would just straight up flip their shit if they have to deal with
I would, to
dealing
be
with an
fair.
application.
I would. I guess it would come at MP and stuff in the main TNI with stuff like that.
Well, rest assured, the entrance program is designed intentionally so that you can do this on your own pace. But it's also done in a way so that if you're not good at Grand Crossing combat, you're going to have a tough time trying to take care of that entrance program.
So
But if you're really good at it, it's going to be a cakewalk.
So there'll be no thing like an officer has to do something for you. It's purely just you doing it, and then an officer checks over it, and you get promoted.
Yep, that's correct.
Oh, so there'll be no like border facilities or anything like to test your combat out and stuff like that.
Nah, it's nothing like that. Like in the Factovian, it's like, okay, let me see what you got, and then you dish it out with like some officer or something.
Alright. That sounds cool because we can do our at our own pace, and then officer just checks over it. I like
Royal Rocketeer, I hate the Grand Crossing. Remind me why you're in my officer corps? Oh, now I remember. I'm not gonna say why.
Who?
Royal Rocketeer,
Oh.
the former Inspector General.
So cringe.
Anyway, what else? Well, sure,
Chimera's
quick on
operations and the Assassination Board.
right, the Operations and Assassination Board. Well, operations are I'll just simply tell the minor things that you'll probably will need to know about. So basically, a Chimera operation will last about 2 to 3 months at a time. There will be special events that will happen during an operation, and there are cases of rewards like honor, medals, and
Will there
if you're really impress me during an operation, you might find yourself a spot in the Viper Squadron.
I do have one question. Is there going to be medal morphs for Viper Squadron?
Yes, it's already been confirmed. There's only one, though, and that applies for all of Viper Squadron.
Will there be a medal morph for the main chimeras? Or none?
For Chimeras,
Yeah.
that's a no. We
Alright.
already have about four of them. And I can tell you for a fact that the fortifications we have, it's gonna make T and I think we're the Taliban or something.
So the Assassination Board, what's that about again? Sorry.
The Assassination Board. That one's pretty funny in my opinion. The Assassination Board, in a nutshell, is going to be a board that has a bunch of Nighthawk targets, specifically designed to target a particular division.
Will it be
So,
like Royal Guards and IPC?
well, if you guys really are crazy enough, maybe I will. If not, then that's a no.
Or will it be more of Commander Ghosts and Commandos?
You probably will expect maybe combat engineers, Reaper Battalion, Vanguards, military police. If you really are guys are crazy, Royal Guards might get thrown into the mix.
What
But
if let's say if someone completes an assassination, what are the rewards?
typical rewards may vary from honor, maybe medal or two.
Well, it depends
But
how
if you
high this person is.
typically it doesn't always apply specifically on their position in the Nighthawk Imperium. Sometimes it could be the fact of who they are in a nutshell. So let's say you, as an example, your lovable kitty. Nobody likes him because of the fact that he's spamming the axe and pushing everybody around on the Grand Crossing. Now that means that if I really wanted to, I could probably have him be the number one enemy to chimeras, and we'll just intentionally, everybody, let's go kill this guy.
Oh, and then you can let's say medal whoever does this.
But sometimes, even like, let's say, a military police officer, we could probably be simply, okay, this guy's a normal person. You could kill him if you like. You could just get a teeny bit of honor from that.
Uh, it's more of a fun thing to keep chimeras going when there's no events on.
Royal Rocketeer, will there be a system to notify other chimeras for help on assassinations? I mean, I know that there's a couple people out there who could throw a bot out in order to specifically ping a certain role that, hey, this guy is online. Let's go jump this dude. But no, I'm afraid that's not going to be possible, sadly.
Uh,
Put a price on the head of every cuff rusher. As much as I want to, Jeff Francis, I'm afraid that is not something I can do because there's just way too many of them. And if I do, that just encourages the military police to just start cuffing every single operative in my division.
yeah, so they can get a bounty in just for them to get noticed by Red Cell. Every military police I know wants to get noticed, so they just cuff rush to be fair.
Pave V. Is Chimera a division or subdivision of RCSF? If it is a subdivision, yeah. Will people that prefer No, Chimeras is a official Red Cell division. It is not a Red Cell Special Forces subdivision. This means that anyone in Red Cell is able to join it. So as long as you're not in a Nighthawk division, that is the only thing that is a requirement in order to become a Chimera Grunt.
Are you allowed to be in Vanguards?
Vanguards wise, I might be a bit relaxed on it since I know there's been plenty of things going on, but I may likely have it so you're not allowed to be in Vanguards as well. That depends on how I will have to see.
Did,
Nora's apprentice, are we doing any operations tonight? Maybe, I'll tell you that, but I can't say when since I'm still a busy person as always. But hey, maybe you'll find one in a few minutes.
I do about the release of Chimera again. Will it be released in the next month or so? Is it like
Mainly it all depends.
oh Jerry just disappeared, guys.
He disconnected, I
Yeah,
think.
he's offline now. Okay, there he is.
Discord crashed, my bad. Anyway, where was I? So, right, the release of Chimeras.
Yeah.
Currently, we're waiting on what is it? I'm pretty sure we're waiting on Venture Development, Venture Corporation, since we are waiting on the helmets that are being made. The previous helmets that you guys are currently seeing is already changing because of the fact that
They look like
we've
phantoms.
bit of a concern from the administration that it looks way too similar to the Imperial Peacekeepers.
Oh, it does. They do. Because
Yeah.
you can change the neons on your helmets, put them red, and you look like IPC.
Yeah, and I'd rather not have to deal with a whole ordeal with condemning. I don't want to have him on my back already.
Yeah, you don't want IPC starting to dislike Chimera already. Literally
Look,
hasn't even released yet.
well, I could tell you for a fact that a lot of Imperial Peacekeepers got upset when Templars got their hands on that rolling ICR, because I've heard some pretty absurd cases when they started getting killed by Templars with the ICR left and right.
To be fair, they're meant to be good at combat at the end of the day. So I don't see why they should be complaining in my opinion.
Well, who knows? Nobody really knows about what they do, and I'd
IPC
rather not know entirely either.
at the end
It's
of
better to keep that under the blankets.
at the end of the day, IPC have their own roller weapon.
That is correct. Right. So, in terms of the release date, let's just hope that if we're lucky enough that the helmets are done, and maybe if the High Command uniform is done, we could expect a release around February. If not, then I hope it would be March. But I'm trying my best to see if we could do February for you all.
Early February. Release on do a joke. Release on April 1st. No, oh wait, that's too far away. I just realised.
That is way too far, and besides, I already got something planned for April Fools. Stay tuned for that on April.
Oh god, I'm gonna be inactive on April 4th. April 1st. Just I don't want to get fooled by someone.
Well, I already know for a fact that I've seen the changes going on in the developer testing for the Grand Crossing, and so far, it's not just Chimeras that are going to be getting stuff as well when we come out.
I heard Black Daggers are getting a new weapon.
Yes, that's correct. They're getting a new weapon. According to intelligence reports, it's suggested that it's going to be something really fast and swift enough to wipe you out.
Oh, is it something to go against that we have fortifications of the Chimera?
It's hard to tell in my opinion, but I already know that there's going to be a new weapon that the combat engineers are going to be using to try to take us out as well. I'll tell you that for a fact since I've seen it with my own eyes.
And another question: do you know, as a grunt, will they have access to any morphs?
As a grunt, you're not going to get anything since you're going to be expected to get through the entrance program that we have in mind. I don't plan on letting you guys getting your hands on Chimera tech simply by joining the group. That's just retarded.
You don't want people running around in your uniform, not good at combat.
Yeah, that's for sure. But hey, I'm more lenient enough to decide, hey guys, I know you want to get your hands on a Chimera morph, so I'm gonna let you guys use it for as a grunt.
Yeah,
No, not a grunt. I mean, what is it? Yeah, novice. Because novice is already showing that I could kill some TNI, so I'm pretty satisfied with that.
how many phases are there for the entrance program?
The entrance program for now, it's gonna be just one step.
Once it gets more popular and stuff, would you might add more phases to make sure people are better at combat?
Possibly, but I may also consider to make sure that this is something you could do on your own pace, not something that you're gonna have to wait 5 years or having to wait on a certain person to deal with in order to get through and then become a chimera.
I hate that kind of entrance. Like you have to wait for an officer just to shout an event and then they, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Because I know some my officers are gonna be busy. I know I'm gonna be busy, and so
There'll be like one
it's
of them every
better
day.
for you guys to be able to progress on your own pace in mind.
Mm.
Royal Rocketeer, will Chimera officers be given extra special items? I don't know about that, but well, I mean, technically, you already are being given an auto-locking medigun, so you're gonna be. That's pretty good for you.
Oh,
In additions to other gear in mind, I have no idea.
I've seen some of them. Are we allowed to leak them and talk about it, or would you rather me not?
Personally, I wouldn't advise
Alright,
discussing much about it,
alright, I won't
but
talk about it. I had the question. I lost it.
lost it at the tip of the tongue.
Bizarre, do you have any questions while I try to think of it again?
Yeah, I'm open to any questions in Red Cell.
Yeah, do any of you have any questions you would like to ask Jerry? This is your one-time chance.
I'm always open to questions as well.
Phantoms before and after decom mission.
Right, the history of phantoms. That is basically one of the most considerably. It's a whole entire story that I need to describe. Since Santok literally decided to jump off ship and has left Red Cell and TNI entirely.
Well, could you
Everyday
repeat that
one.
again, please?
Do any of these have to do with Chimera? No, that is just something I made for fun. That is not something connected to Chimeras. Anyway, so when it comes to Phantoms, Phantoms was originally, well, I'm just going to tell everybody this, but Red Cell Special Forces Chimeras was intentionally designed to be not an elite task force. Initially, it was actually intended to be an intelligence division for Red Cell. They did multiple operations across Red Cell and TNI, and they specifically were tasked with all sorts of things. There's a bunch of lore connected to, well, a lot of it in portion for Phantoms is specifically connected to a particular family in the Nighthawk Imperium.
Alright.
And if there's something that I need to tell you all, Last Wish is not a real story.
What? I genuinely thought it was.
The story of Last Wish is not something that everybody should believe in, because for the past couple months prior to Santok's leave, it's been told that Last Wish was just a lie, and I could tell you that it's actually true. The intentions of the Last Wish story was just merely a cover up for everyone to not know about or to know the truth exactly. I know what it is, but currently nobody knows jack about the entire story. I know, well, maybe except for Noir. He actually knows some special bits about Phantom.
He was leaking about in my DMs. he was talking about it. He actually figured
What?
he figured it
Oh,
out.
okay. Oh, okay.
No,
Okay.
he
Now I
didn't.
know who's snitching.
No,
Now
he
I
didn't
know
tell
who's
me. He didn't
snitching.
tell me.
Now we got somebody who's gonna get kicked off the Chimera Officer Corps.
No, he didn't tell me. He said he was figuring it out in my DMs.
What
I
is
want to
in?
see some proof. I want to see some proof.
Is in?
Anyway, jokes aside, though, in all
Is in
seriousness,
Chimera officer chat room?
No, he was talking about how he was figuring it out on my DMs. He didn't tell me anything though.
Sure.
jokes aside, though, as of recently, though, apparently for some reason, the gadget we have, I mean, since a lot of you are noticing about the armor that we have, the thing about the armor that we have is that it can handle almost the toughest things. Well, except for the plasma. That thing still can kill you easily, unfortunately. But the idea for the blast shield that's the name of it. But the shield that we've designed for chimeras is that it can handle even the most highest is calibers. So if you're gonna get sniper combo, it can handle an entire sniper round. If you're gonna get tased, I don't know why did they decide to do this, but I guess apparently a taser can get absorbed by our shield.
Oh, I feel bad for all RG I'm gonna use that on.
Well, I could tell you for a fact there's going to be people that are going to be start getting upset because of the fact that, hey, why on earth can the shield handle an entire taser? Now I can't tase him. Well, I already know that. That's going to be a real major issue for, like, Royal Guards in particular. Yes, I know, Mefix. I know you're addicted to that electro gun, but I'm afraid that our shield has gotten some absurd stat changes for some reason. But I could tell you for a fact that it's already going to be designed in a way so that we're not going to be running in, activating it, dying, and then running back in from the teleport with the blast shield again on. No.
I do have another question as well. It's a simple one at the end of the day. How hard is it gonna be to become an officer? Like,
How hard it is to be an officer. Well, if I were to be blunt with you, it's the longest you're ever going to deal with, but not too long. I will rest assured that. The thing is that you're going to have to climb the ranks in order to get that honor. Then there's going to be something you have to do in order to even hit the mid ranks. And then from there, you're going to have another set of things in order that specifically officers must do in order to help you climb that certain rank. And then when you have to hit Lancer, you'll have to apply for that. And then it goes into this whole ordeal and trial in order to become an official quartermaster.
That's a good thing. I'm already a quartermaster.
On the topic, will there be a specific rank to become an officer? That would be the Lancer rank. You will not get a morph in the Grand Crossing as a Lancer for the Chimera morphs. You won't get access to the officer one, but when you hit Quartermaster, you will. Royal Racketeer, thoughts on people making unofficial Chimera lore? I mean, personally, I have no issues on it, but bear in mind that there hasn't been a lot of official lore for Chimeras yet, and there's no issues about writing it out, but bear in mind that it is unofficial, and I cannot say that if you were to try to spread it around like as if it's official, then I can't say that'd be a legal thing to do.
wait, so if I'm once I gotta ask again. So once you go through your like the entrance program to get the first rank, you have to do something special to gain the middle rank where you can get access to the fortifications.
Yes, that's correct, and I already have to make it so. And I already have to tell you for a fact that the gear that we're giving you in terms of the fortifications, well, let's just say the fact that, well, I'm just going to say it out loud, but if you guys know about the tripwire explosive, if you know how to handle it well, that thing can insta-kill a TNI if you do it correctly.
The what? Sorry, I weren't listening properly then. Sorry.
Okay, so some of you are probably familiar with the tripwire explosive that Chimera has in their arsenal. Well, if you do know how to use it in a questionable way, but there's going to be rules on that, unfortunately. But it's been shown that if you set it up in a certain scenario, let's just say that if a TNI steps on this one landmine, normally it'll just severely injure you. But if you do it in this particular way, you're going to straight up die instantly, even if you have 150 health.
Damn. That's quite powerful, man.
So we can one-shot IPC. If they accidentally trip that explosive, you'll probably die.
Can you see it? Like, is it easy to see? I've seen it in game at the moment, but is it going to be made where you can't see it as well?
From what I could tell, I don't think that there's going to be like some kind of transparency to it because of how stupidly strong it is as well, since the tripwire is already something that TNI are going to have to deal with. The thing about that is that the laser, in order to you cannot shoot up the laser in order to destroy it. No, you have to take out the box that points the laser in order to destroy it.
Oh, so you can be hiding this behind the wall or something, and
yeah, that's correct. But some of the even more sinister tactics that you could even do with it is you could even hide it in behind a red door, and if TNI were to barge in without jumping before opening, they'll just walk straight into a trip mine, or even armory vent where you could just straight up slap a few of them in the armory vent, and then TNI are not going to realize they're walking into a literal death alley.
Yeah, and if you have more than if you have two of you, you can put it on either side of the door as well.
No, here's the even more absurd part about the fortifications. I'm already entrusting all Chimera, well, not all, but any Chimera that has access to the fortification tool, you'll be able to build 6 fortifications at a time.
Is that including the laser trap?
Yes, that's correct. You could, if you really want to, you could throw 6 walls down, or if you really want to, you could throw 6 landmines down.
And then another question: will this increase above the ranks? Like officer gets set 8 and high com gets 10 places.
Highly unlikely. 6 is already a lot. And if I really wanted to, I could probably lower and restrict certain fortifications to what you could place in particular.
I would lower the tripwire, in my opinion. It'll be a lot of TNI will start complaining. So if
Planting in the anime event, yes, it technically is possible, but I cannot say it'd be a legal one to do.
Wait, what was the question?
Planting mines in the anime event. You know what I'm talking about, and I cannot say that'd be a legal thing to do because of the fact that it has a teleportations over there, so I don't think that's allowed. Oh, I just noticed that a certain Nighthawk Admiral is here with us today.
Yeah,
hello,
he's
Piano.
been here for like 20 minutes or something.
Oh, it's good to see you, Piano. Normally, we don't see any Reds or TNI Admirals here, but hey, it's a warm welcome. Hey, I get my words mixed up because I've been sitting in Red Cell for God knows how long.
Same. Make tripwire worth like 0.5 tool points and when we complain, worth it to 1. Yeah.
I'm afraid that is not something I could do, unfortunately. That's just making yourself sound like you're about to turn into a full-on insurgent.
Yeah.
Look, I already had a lot of crazy... I already know there's going to be a bunch of jokes going on about Chimeras as well, since our explosives that we have in our arsenal is already going to be making TNI having to be paranoid, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah, there will be a lot of jokes about it. Does anyone else have any questions to ask Gajaro?
Punji Pits in TNI base by Chimera. Vietnamese tactics. Unfortunately, we cannot be the Viet Cong guerrilla, even though I have. I mean, way back when Red Cell Development was tasked with Red Cell Chimera's fortifications. Fun fact: Red Cell Chimera's fortifications were made by Red Cell Development themselves.
Oh
There
yeah.
was one possible case where you could actually have fun with maybe potentially punji or barbed wire, but no, that it got scrapped. Deflected. Is there any other way to pass the program? No. Unfortunately, you must complete this certain task that we have applied in that program.
Oh,
There's only one way, unfortunately.
I do have one. Yeah, about on this topic, will devs have to go through this, and we already have access to all the morphs, will we have to go through all of these phases?
Well, I'll tell you for this, and later on, I'm gonna have to announce this to Red Cell Development. But when Chimera releases, I'm planning on throwing a bunch of you back into. Well, I'm deciding to give a bunch of you the rank of novice because of what you've been able to do. But it's for both venture wise and for important things that we're going to be adding into our facilities.
Yeah.
Haven't we made a joke of the Satan tripwire pentagram? Yes, that's already a Chimera joke, and I'm already upset with the fact that there's going to be someone's going to be thinking that we're all Satanists. That is not a good idea.
Haven't we already made it? Oh yeah.
Put the tripwires at the IPC spawn door. That is technically not a legal thing we're allowed to do, Mefix. That's almost the same thing as putting in barbed wire, like Combat Engineers does, in front of a vent teleport that from that broken window. I've already seen too many Combat Engineers do that.
At the end of the day, see you do it, so I don't see why we can't do it.
Well, we're gonna have to wrap this up soon. If you have any more last minute questions, I am welcome to answer them.
Alrighty. I guess no one else has any questions, so guess that's gonna wrap this up for this podcast. Thanks for coming, and yeah, stay tuned for next week's podcast. See ya.
Alright,
All
bye
right,
guys.
have a good one, everybody.
If you have any questions, make sure to TM us. Alright, have a good one, everyone.